So in this video, we're going to look at the 10 things you should consider before buying your campervan. So before we start, of course, I hope everyone is doing fine during these unusual times, staying safe, keeping well. I'm sure anyone that's looking to buy their first campervan, or all of us that have a campervan, are desperately looking forward to getting out and about in them, but we appreciate that we can't do that at the moment. But that day will come and we'll be able to enjoy the freedom of travel again at some point in the future. So the first question is which van to buy. This of course will be down to budget, your specific requirements and your personal preferences. By far the most popular campervans, of course, are Volkswagens. If you think back to the early days of the iconic Splitty, fantastic looking vehicles, massive following. We see lots of them when we go to Busfest. Now, the first VW van was launched at the Geneva Motor Show in November 1949. Ironically, Westphalia, who were the subcontractor for the early campervans with VW, has recently started to produce campers for Ford, based on the Ford Transit. The Ford Transit starts at around £56,000 in the UK. Interestingly, that's about the same price of VW's own California, which starts at just under £56,000. It seems many people have a negative opinion on the Ford Transit. They say it's not as good quality, it depreciates faster, it will not last as long as the VW. I will leave all that up to you to decide, but Ford have produced over 8 million Transits so far, so they must be doing something right. Yes, the depreciation will definitely be worse on the Ford product, but you pays your money and you takes your choice. There are campervans based on Renaults, Peugeots, Citroens, so it is down to your budget and your preference. So the second point. So you've chose the van that you want, now you need to go and buy it. Now of course, if you're buying new from VW or Ford for instance, you simply need to negotiate the price. If however you're buying from a conversion company, our T6 was converted by Camper King, you need to check out the quality of the conversions. Go and see one. Poke and prod every bit of the habitation fitments in the vehicle. Do some research online. Look at customer reviews. Be sure that you're buying from one of the better converters. Now what do we think of our Camper King conversion? Well, the quality is what I would call good. And on the occasion that I needed to use their after sales department in Kinnerton, Warwickshire, they were great. There are conversions out there of course that produce higher end results than the Camper King. Even higher quality fittings, and things like not having visible screw heads in the conversion. But of course you will pay for this. Now what I would say you need to check is how comfortable the bed system is in the van that you're looking at. Our Camper King van has something called a rock and roll bed, or an R&R bed for short. And initially we thought it was a great system, great bed, we loved it. Living with it, and now having used the van many times, we have to say as a bed it's comfortable, you can put a mattress topper on it, no problem. But as a seat, particularly obviously therefore if you're travelling a long distance, or the fact that you'll be using it of course to sit on when you're in camping mode, it's very uncomfortable. It's not the kind of seat that I would want to sit on for long. I am absolutely convinced there are better bed systems out there that offer more comfort. And I would certainly suggest that you carefully consider which bed system that you're going to be using, because of course you're going to be sitting on that seat a lot, or you're going to be lying on that seat a lot, so you want it to be the most comfortable that it can be. Now one thing to consider, and I particularly dislike about our Camper King van, is that to maintain the habitation warranty with it, you have to take the van for habitation checks. This is an annual check, and I absolutely understand why the habitation check should be done, but Camper King force you to have the habitation check done by them if you want to maintain their warranty. The cost is pretty average in the market. It's around £240, but I would prefer to have the choice of where to have this done. It's just something that you need to consider. So the third point is, if you're buying used, where are you going to buy it from? You could of course buy from a dealer. Camper King, for example, have many vans for sale. Some are from their ex-rental fleet, although personally I would try and avoid one that's from an ex-rental, because I don't really want the van to have been driven by dozens of people before I buy it. Or you might decide to look up one of their popular selling sites such as eBay or Gumtree. Gumtree of course is owned by eBay. Now I would ask you to please check out a video that we've recently done about this, because eBay and Gumtree are absolutely littered with vehicles that are purportedly for sale, but they're scams. You really do need to be careful when you're buying off sites like eBay or Gumtree, and the video that we've recently made is aimed at helping you avoid such mistakes. Now the fourth thing to consider is where to park it. Now our campervan fitted through our garage because it was originally a carport and was therefore out of the way and, more importantly, hidden from view. If you cannot park it at your home address, then of course you're going to need to source some storage, and this storage can easily cost £350 or more. I would recommend using the Caravan Storage Site Owners Association, or CASO for short, which awards sites based on security measures that they have, and they award them with either a gold, a silver or a bronze. You will also find by using one of these sites that your insurance premium should be lower. So the fifth point to consider is understanding the additional costs of all the equipment that you're likely going to need to use your campervan. Now, we have made a video on this. It's this video, where we discuss the essentials that you might choose to buy and their costs. When we first purchased our campervan, we spent easily over £1,000 kitting it out, and this is a cost that we didn't fully appreciate before we'd actually purchased the van. So the sixth point to consider is, do you join a caravan club? Now in the UK there are two in particular to look at. You've got the Caravan and Motorhome Club, which we are members of, and the Camping and Caravanning Club. Links for these will be in the description below. Whilst there are differences, we would suggest that you take the time to look at the site locations each of them have and decide what might work best for you. The seventh thing to consider is insurance. Now for a factory built campervan such as the VW California, this is not so much of an issue, but for a campervan conversion like our Camper King conversion, you need to be careful. On any normal insurance comparison site, when you enter the vehicle registration into the system, it will bring back the results for only the base vehicle, which is a van. It will not allow for the many thousands of pounds of conversion that your campervan would have, and it will also not take into account the type of use that it will have. Now there are many companies out there that understand how to insure these vehicles, including Safeguard, who we are currently with, and Adrian Flux. Now I'll put links for these in the description below. Now for us, Safeguard were competitive, but they do bundle the breakdown cover into the premium. You cannot delete the breakdown cover from the policy. Now when you buy a new VW, like our van was, it came with a 3-year VW Assist, which is part of the AA. So we didn't need the extra insurance for breakdown cover. But with Safeguard, you have no choice. Of course, if your vehicle doesn't have breakdown cover, then this may be of use to you. The next thing to consider if you're buying a VW is the servicing requirements. Now many VWs use something called flexible servicing intervals, which basically means that the van will need a service every 2 years or 18,000 miles, whichever comes first. It takes things into account like how the van is driven. However, as discussed in this video, the Transporter requires a cam belt change every 4 years. Now the Transit needs one only every 10 years. Just thought I'd mention that one. VW recommends that you also change the water pump. Now I would presume that this is because if the water pump seizes, it would strip or snap the cam belt, and a cam belt failure would of course cost you thousands of pounds in repair bills. Now the cost of this cam belt and water pump change is around £535 at a VW dealer. So number 9 on the things to consider before buying your camper van. If you're planning on only using the van for holidays, you need to bear in mind that vans were designed to clock up easily 200,000 miles and not sit unused for any length of time. If you intend to keep it parked up for any length of time, and this is much easier if it's parked at home of course, you will need to keep both the vehicle battery and any leisure batteries fitted healthy. Now for the van battery, I would recommend a good trickle charger. I'll put a link in the description below. This will maintain the battery and vehicle systems that may remain energised when the van is actually not being used. Then for the leisure batteries, you should plug in the electric hookup to your home, much the same as you would when you were going to a campsite. You would need a converter cable to do this. Again, I'll put a link in the description below. And you should do this at least once a month and for at least 24 hours a time, just to maintain the leisure battery or batteries in your vehicle. Now this point may not seem so important if your van has solar panels installed, but if you think about it, you are much more likely to rest the van over the winter months when the sun is not going to be particularly out much, particularly if you live in the UK. What you should never do, of course, is just leave the van sitting there for months and expect everything to be fine when you start the next holiday season. And finally everyone, the last point, which is a bit of a cop-out, but the video is titled 10 things to consider before you buy your van, is to go and enjoy it. You spent so much time researching which van, you've gone out and bought the van, you've gone and spent lots of money equipping your camper van, you deserve to have a good holiday in it. Go and enjoy it. So that's it everyone. Thank you very much for watching. As always, we hope you found that video informative. If you liked it, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll put a link at the end of the video to do just that. See you on the next one.